Okay, guys, so this is our first episode that we've decided to do as a group. We're going to be mainly doing sports, fantasy, topics of the week, that type of stuff. We felt like doing this as it was something that we really are passionate about. We do well. We've been involved in a lot of sports pools. We've been following sports for years. For those looking at the screen, top left is Dustin Wilson. Bottom is Marcus Boomer Freeze. Um, Known him for years. We've been really involved in a lot of sports, pools, all sorts of things. And most of all, we're very heavily debated between the three of us. Dustin is an avid Packers fan. Flames, Dodgers, Raptors. Marcus, Braves fan, as you can see. Flames, Steelers. And myself, I'm a Mariners, Patriots, and Kings fan. You'll tell when we're doing our topics, there may be some bias in there, but we're open to conflict, conversation, debate. That's what it's about. We want to give people that are watching a chance to get caught up in what's going on and what we feel may be happening. And with that being said, we're going to get going. The first topic we're actually going to talk about is the return of sports with COVID-19. And so far, we've heard a lot of mixed things. I really feel that by June, there will be training camps. There will be in baseball. And I mean, NFL doesn't really have to worry about it because they wouldn't have to start their camps. Their summer camps would be postponed, but camp would get going in August. The return of NBA and the NHL, really, really debatable right now. I'll start with you, Dustin. Do you really think that it's possible that these things can come back and that they are possible to be done safely?
Well, I absolutely think they can be. Every league seems to be different from, well, just in different stages of the season. NHL and NBA are the closest, and they kind of they're almost identical to where their seasons run. Everything else, I mean, baseball's still so early. They're looking to start their season. So I would say, I mean, if I could hope for any of them to come back, it's the two that were in mid-season. So I don't know, like, I mean, I've heard of like the Disneyland quarantine thing. I don't know how much merit that actually has, or I think Vegas was another one. I mean, we all hope. The fans thing, I think we can throw that out the window for a long time. But I mean, I really don't think it should be this hard. I mean, it depends on your stance with the whole COVID thing. But I mean, let's just find a way to make it happen.
Well, I mean, realistically, and you're going to find a heavy divide between people and their opinions on the COVID-19 thing. We've discussed this ourselves. I've heard tons of views on it. People are saying we have to get back to it. We have to get back to civilization. We've damaged the economy. You know, no sports. People aren't able to golf properly, go camping.
Let's just do this. All three of us. Don't tiptoe around it. We are like heavy advocates for it to get back. So yeah. Just like whatever you got to do to get that out the window, we want to find a way.
Well, you know what? You know what? At the end of the day, I think that sports to begin with are such a morale booster for everybody that's involved out in the world. And I think one of the most obvious ones that I think you could get going in a real hurry is probably the PGA Tour. I know that you guys didn't touch on that, but I think it's really, really simple for golf to get back into the swing of things. And I don't even want to go there about the Masters. That was one of the most heartbreaking things in the world for them not to do it this year. But
golf at the same time, isn't it?
No, well, yeah, they're talking about it, but my whole thing is like if there's a sport that you can pick right now that you can actually start up in a hurry, I feel like golf is the most obvious because as far as social distancing, bang.
They've got dates. I'm pretty sure golf is a go.
June 11th, I believe.
Yeah,
I believe it's June 11th.
It's into June. It's into June for sure. Yeah, I didn't hear June 11th, but
really ask for is the actual like, hey, here's the plan, here's the date, here's when we're starting.
Yeah,
we know none of them are starting next week, but
no,
golf is like you said, it is the one that they can pull off
for sure.
So
sure.
That's it. That's kind of I'm sort of checking that one off the list.
Yeah.
So the Masters, though, I do believe is supposed to be back in November. From what I heard, they're planning.
Yeah, you're right. That was the suggested date was into November. Yeah.
The thing that really kind of scares me about you either have to have everybody on board. As far as a fan, I don't want to watch PGA golf when guys like Rory, Ricky, Justin,
aren't
DJ,
playing.
right? If they're not comfortable playing, and there's rumor a lot of these guys that are playing from overseas aren't going to come. Are you willing to watch a weekly PGA event with Charles
Opposed to,
Howard and
opposed to
Grant
nothing?
Snedeker headlining the event? Like that.
Opposed
That's
to nothing?
well.
I'd watch it. You put
We're
something on
watching-
TV right now,
we're
I'll
watching
watch it.
events, We're watching events that we already know the outcome to. I watch old hockey games, old golf, old basketball, and of course people are going to watch it.
Oh, you guys, I've watched the 2019 Masters of Tiger winning probably between 62 and 78 times while this has all been going on. So, yeah, people are going to watch it. You're going to get golf fans that have never watched golf before in their life just because it's on TV. They're going to watch it. It's competition. I agree with what you're saying.
As we're doing this, the UFC 249 event is actually going on right now. Me personally, it ain't doing it for me. With no fans, it's like two guys just fighting in a ring, no one else around. Don't get me wrong, I'm watching it. It was on, but I need NHL, I need NBA.
You had bigger plans here. Well, so you were.
Well,
schedule was a little tied
that's
up.
what I'm laying down, right? I mean, it's just not exactly doing it for me. So, but I mean, Marcus touched on it. The sport that has the best chance to come back is the PGA. Social distancing is very easy to accomplish there. Before we came on, I told you both guys about the proposal that's going to the MLBPA sometime this coming week.
Yeah.
80-game schedule. This is all just from what I've read, and I mean, it came from Rosenthal and some other sources. So 80-game schedule, extended rosters, playing into late in the year. Like we might have baseball in December in separate areas that can play it. Stadiums that are.
So is that what it is? It in different locations or is it at the home stadium?
It's home stadiums, right?
They didn't clarify. They just said that what's on the table right now was an 80-game schedule. Now, like we had talked about, how can you realistically bring the sport back like baseball and consider it to be a season without an asterisk beside it?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can because every stat that it pertains to that season isn't going to be it's not going to, like, Josh Hader could go out and he could literally have an ERA of 0.19 for the year in 80 games, right? Like these numbers are like it could happen. It could happen.
The thing is, you're not going to touch any of the records, right? Because you've only got 80 games to amass those numbers.
What does that matter?
Agreed. You're still getting baseball back. I agree with you. I agree.
Like that's not the point here on the like integrity of the season and stuff. It is simply to just get sports back on the radar.
Yeah,
well,
you're right.
Get it on TV. Give us whatever it is. Like it's the same as if Trout's not playing because he doesn't feel safe or whoever. Like it doesn't matter. Don't
Trout's playing. Trout's playing.
Well, but I mean, there's been players, guys, that have flat out come out and said, like Sean Doolittle. I mean, we all know, like, the guy had a history of illness, and they don't want to come back
just
and
risk let me know early enough so I know whether to keep him or not in my team. That's all I got to ask.
I thought you were going to say I better start warming up the arm there because they're going to be missing a closer. But yeah.
I legitimately don't care about the who plays or who doesn't play.
I think it's important. I think it's important for the world that we get that morale booster back where you can sit down after supper with your kids or, with whatever and watch a game, watch some competition that we haven't seen in the past. I agree with you. 100%.
But now I'll pose this to you. Can you have an NHL playoff game with no fans?
No, but I bet you they do it.
Well, of course, yes, you can.
I know you can, but
let's be realistic.
The fans carry a big part of the momentum for a home team, right? I mean,
look at Nashville. Look at Nashville.
It's either do one or nothing.
Yeah.
So I think it doesn't matter. Hey, I got one more question on it because I remember seeing it. Is there much merit to the 24-team playoff schedule for the NHL?
I read about it. I mean, I'm really hoping it's a thing because then that would mean the Kings might have a chance of making the playoffs because they were out of it in November.
Well, but is it just the flat 24 make it the playoffs start?
Well,
yeah,
no, what?
That's what I thought. Or am I wrong?
Well, no, I only read two things about it, and it wasn't very clear, right? But from what I've actually seen and heard is there's lots of things being examined. Hub cities to
Yeah.
host 8 to 10 or 8 teams each and finish the schedule, because they feel that without finishing the schedule, you can't have a playoff.
Yeah.
Me personally, I feel you have to finish the season. You have to have some sort of consistency. It's not fair to the teams like Florida, like Toronto, like
Yeah.
those teams that were battling for those playoff spots to just say, no, we're cutting it off right now, and this is where we were at.
Like the teams that made the trades?
Yeah, Florida's
That's the big
100%
one.
a team that I would be very worried about going into the playoffs. They're built to be successful with that team. They have a lot of offense. Their goaltending gets hot. And we saw last year with St. Louis, same thing. All it takes is for a team to get hot at the right time. So as far as that goes, I guess touching back to the fans, I wanted to bring up one more thing. And I had thought about this, and I heard about it a couple days ago, was why can't the arenas and Ticketmaster and all these other venues segregate fans throughout the stadium based on social distancing, so that one or two people that live in a household, if they want to attend a game, can attend in a certain seat, certain section that has been social distanced from others. And the only requirement would be that you cannot come to the stadium when you're sick, and you need to wear gloves to enter the building until you get to your seat. And then after that, you can watch. Of course, there would be no vendors. There would be no food. You could have beverages, sealed water bottles and stuff like that. But that's something I had thought about, and a few other people have brought up. And I don't see why they couldn't do that to get some sort of revenue on the table. Because the players, the MLB, I don't feel will really want to come back having to push their pay till the following season. So that's what's going to have to happen here, guys. There's got to be some concession from the MLBPA, right?
I think that's a phase 2 type thing.
Yeah,
like
so do I.
It totally could happen. It's never going to be part of the initial startup.
Right. But we're not talking right away. Like from what we said, like July 4th would be the ideal start date is what they're going for. And we had just said like that'll be just mass chaos in the States because it's July 4th and it's gong show.
Okay, like this just came to me and I have no idea. Like I don't know the numbers. I apologize for this. But in reality, the gate price for a Major League Baseball game, is that a major number in their revenues?
That is how the players get paid.
Like 100%? No questions asked? That's what it is?
I'd have to go and get the numbers, and once again, I'm sorry I don't have that, but I do know for a fact that a lot of the players' revenues are driven from merchandise sales and gate sales.
Yeah. Oh, I know merchandise sales are a huge thing. My whole thing was when I went to school down by Kansas City there, and we'd go to games, we'd get in for $6 with our college IDs. And we're talking about that stadium, like Kauffman is beautiful. It's a gorgeous stadium. It's not a small stadium, but we're talking like they weren't very good then. We're talking there was probably maybe 10,000 people in the stands.
Yeah.
Like this social distancing thing was being done back then before it was cool.
Like Miami doesn't have to worry about it because they social distance every game. Same with Tampa Bay. It's the most you see in a game is 2,000-3,000 people. But in a stadium and I compared, I've been to T-Mobile, formerly Safeco in Seattle.
Yeah.
It holds a fair amount of people, but if you bring in 5,000 people and social distance them in the park, you're at least getting something in the pocket, right? Instead of taking
agreed. Yep.
And then the players don't have to.
I think that I don't even know if you make enough.
No,
I don't think you do either.
Based on the
without vendors,
security that you'd have to have. I just think the security and everything that they put into sort of hosting
to control it.
Yeah, wouldn't be worth it until. But I mean, and who knows what those tickets would cost.
Yeah, and I apologize for not knowing.
Your right fields row 20 seats, like what are those, $50? 70?
Yeah. But if you're talking about premium seating, if you're right behind home plate and you're up 20 rows, let's call that one of the best seats in the house.
You're looking $130.
Exactly, right? So I'm sitting there saying, in my mind, if we're not doing a 162 game season, how much is your gate price? Like how much? And I realize that it's nowhere near what it would be if it was a full season without any pandemic. But I agree with Dustin. I don't think you're getting enough money through the door if you're going to do those social distancing restrictions. I agree with him.
Fair. I mean, it's a very tough thing to kind of fathom without vendors, without hot, you won't be able to get a hot dog and a beer. You won't be able to do all that stuff. Basically, the thing is too, the fans are basically asking, when are we going to be getting a refund? Season ticket holders, This has been a huge discussion. I didn't really want to voice anything on it, but it is something that needs to be looked at. Ticketmaster is saying they're not going to refund. You're going to get a credit plus 20% towards your next year. I don't think it's fair for them to be able to hold people's money that put thousands of dollars down to secure their season tickets, right? But
Sure.
call me crazy, but
Yeah.
I guess, like I said, time will tell, and we'll see where things go from there. But as of now, we hope that sports comes back, and going forward within the next month, I fully believe that we will be ramping up, and we will see that happen.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to leave that one. We're going to move to the next topic, and it's athletes and social media versus your private conversations. And obviously, this is referring to the Brendan Leipsic shit show of this last week. And it really was. For those of you that haven't seen it, Google it, go look it up. It's rather entertaining from my point of view, because I mean, it's pretty funny. And I guess the thing about it is, are we holding players to an unfair standard here? I understand with Twitter, you really got to be careful what you put on there. That is social media. You are representing your team. That is your name out there. But this was a personal, private conversation with a group of guys. It wasn't meant for people to see. We are all part of a group chat that we are involved in. Are we really, should we fault this guy for this?
It's garbage on so many fronts.
Absolutely.
The guy who screenshotted it, piece of shit, and got it out there, how did that happen? It exactly like you said, Wallace. Everyone has private conversations for the sake of them being private. And when people make them public without other people being okay with it or having their consent, it's brutal. That being said, when you're even close to any sort of a spot like that, like in the NHL, you got to know.
I mean, but you guys both read what I laughed uncontrolled. I hate saying that for people that are going to read that and think I'm an insensitive asshole. I'm sorry. That is just the guy in me coming
the
out.
other guys in the chat. Are they just his buddies?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were just friends of his. They were just friends of his. I
couldn't stand the one guy. I was like, I think these guys are just trying to that's their buddy in the NHL, and they're just trying to make themselves look good, and they were. Yep. I actually could hardly stand the conversation for some weird reason. A
lot of it was pretty what the hell are you even talking about? But there was some good. I mean, come on, that was good quality fodder right there. I mean, that's how do you not talk about that?
Well, go ahead, Boomer.
To me, the whole thing, you're putting it in, you got to be careful how you talk about this one, because you're actually sitting there and you're putting it in print, right? So it's there. Somebody can bring it up. They can interpret it any way they want. Yep. Whereas we all know about the famous Uber call with the senators there. Everybody saw that. Everybody listened to that. Everybody knows what was said there. But that was a conversation. That was flat out. That's like me and Dustin and Wallace going golfing and being like, hey, did you, I don't even want to dive too deep into it. But at the same time, this guy put it in print. As soon as you put it in print, you've got to realize, I get it. It's private, but holy man, you are opening a huge can of worms there. If somebody decides to screenshot it,
now,
I don't know.
But was it one of their guys that screenshot, or was it hacked? That's the guy. I can't. How can you consider one of your friends a friend if you're going to screenshot that and shoot it all over social media for people to see it, right? I mean, that guy's not a friend, because he just cost the guy his career. He has been waived.
Oh, they're saying it was hacked and then somebody screenshotted it.
Right. Well, so
yeah, they said it was hacked immediately, right? Or that isn't something that came out after.
I didn't know if that was legit. I mean, I think they all look like shitheads. And
100%. Yeah.
I totally, with what the Caps did, letting them go. Yeah, that's just what happens.
I know a guy that's going to hear this and just lose his mind on me, but if Ovechkin did that, would he be in trouble? They both play on the same team. This is Ovechkin. One's
Well, I
Brendan
don't think he
Leipzig.
would get caught,
Well,
but if it
no.
made it out, and that's probably the tough. Once it's out there, it's out there. Like I don't think you can stop the internet, no matter how good your lawyers are.
Yeah.
But I think it's.
I saw
quite happened yet. Like
I feel Brendan
they-
Leipzig. Washington took the easy route here. They knew the easiest way to deal with this was to waive him with the intention of terminating his contract.
This
There
guy
was
any
no other
good?
way to deal with it.
No.
In a situation
Well-
if it was like Kuznetsov, Holtby, Ovechkin, then you really
Carlson.
gotta, wonder how you're gonna deal with that. And I just feel it was a lot easier for Washington to basically just wipe, turn the page, wipe the slate. Okay, this guy's no longer a part of our organization. But that being said, we basically had talked about this earlier. Does the punishment fit the crime for it? The
Easily.
guy lost his livelihood and his job. I know people say it's, it's a hockey player. Well, no, it's his job. He gets paid money to play hockey. He
Okay.
lost his livelihood. He does, that's how he depends to get through. I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in the world, we all have consequences. I know at work, I can't just say stuff like that. We have HR. If I say something, I'm definitely in trouble. But it's also a private conversation. I think that's where the gray area is, right?
No.
Well, okay.
Let him go.
No, like in my mind, if you're gonna go down the road that says like, okay, if it's Ovechkin, is this treated differently? The world knows extremely well how careful Sidney Crosby is in every aspect of his life. He even admits it on Spit and Chicklets, where he says, I am so careful with what I do. I don't drink in public. I don't go out and like he's, and we're talking about a completely different class of player here. So if Ovechkin was to do something like that, I don't,
That's the thing,
and
Boomer.
even if he did do that,
the question is exactly, would this be handled differently if it was Ovechkin? Of course it would.
yes, for sure it would.
There's no
For
arguing that, because Ovechkin is a way different level. So why wouldn't it be the same way every other disciplinary action would be, whether it's a private conversation? Of course, they're all handled differently.
Ovechkin
Okay,
and Crosby are the
I'm-
poster boys, right? They're the poster boys for the NHL. There's no.
Okay.
You're not
I'm
going
gonna say-
to cut them
I'm
and
gonna say
fire them.
one thing.
A middle, it's like somebody more and that's the thing. I don't know how good he is. That's probably the
Well,
reason why I'm sitting there.
He
I
played
think
for the
this guy
Kings
is
this
bad.
year. It wasn't pretty, I can tell you that much. So
Okay, boys. Here. Let's make a point. Did you, Lane, or you, Dustin, ever know who Brendan Leipzig was before this happened?
I did, but he played for the Kings.
Okay, so there you
For a
go.
week.
Enough said. But in reality, like if you didn't know who the hell he was, you're not
That's why he
talking
got
about
cut.
him. You're not talking about him without this happening. So
Yeah. 100%.
that's why they cut him. That's why it was so easy for them to walk away.
Unfortunate part of it is he did lose his job, but unfortunately, sometimes you do stupid things. You have to live with stupid consequences.
You know what? We have a friend who would say the exact same thing, and I can just hear his voice saying it right now. He would say, you know what? He wasn't that good. This is a guy just trying to show off to his buddies, trying to wheel around to his buddies back home and say, hey, you know what? This is what I do. I'm an NHL player. It's cool. I'm going to do this anyways. And he got caught. That's what I think happened here, and that's all I can say about it because
That is what happened.
yeah, exactly. He was trying to be a wheel, and he got busted. That's what happened.
But unfortunately, if we only knew how many other players there were like that, this isn't an isolated incident, right?
Oh, Wallace, I would love to see any group chat that Patrick Kane is involved in. Any of them. It'd be beautiful.
Very true. There's a few guys I'm pretty sure they would have a storied group chat going. So, yeah, it's one of those unfortunate things, but it did happen, and we definitely had to touch base on it this time around. So, okay, and now we're going to move on to the upcoming MLB season. As you can see, two of us are actually wearing our MLB teams' gear, so it's that time of year. Hopefully, it's going to be returning soon. I'm in all my pools. total, I'm in 8. I know that's a ridiculous amount to be in.
I thought it was more, and I want to make the point that I really expected Wilson to be wearing a Dodgers jersey, but next
Oh.
week it's another week. It's another week. We'll see what happens. Anyways, continue. Sorry,
And you
Lane.
did let me finish. I'm actually on 8 on Yahoo and 3 on Fantrax, so it's 11.
Yeah, I knew it was around a dozen.
So with that being said, that doesn't mean I'm any good at it. The guy that I feel is really the guy that we take a lot from is Marcus. So what we're gonna do, we're each gonna give
Marcus has never won one. Have you ever won a pool, Boomer?
I haven't won the Loons. I've won a few other ones.
Write it off. Take it back.
You know what? Hey, buddy, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. I've been second 4 times in the Loons pool, and this last one was absolutely embarrassing because I had some major injuries. But whatever. That's baseball. That's baseball, buddy.
I'm just before Wallace let your head get too big there. I thought I'd bring you back down to earth.
Absolutely. Thank you. Because anybody that knows me knows I have a massive head. I have the biggest head in this podcast. I agree. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue.
So we're gonna each do a stud, a bust, and a sleeper. Each one of us, and then we're actually gonna make our picks for the divisions and our World Series matchup. I'm gonna start off with my stud in fantasy baseball this year. I'm going with a pitcher. I'm going with Lucas Giolito. The guy has been lights out as far as I'm concerned. Coming back, he had a rough start. Didn't really pan out when he started with Washington. He got traded. Did really well last year. I was very, very pleasantly surprised. And I feel this is the year where he takes that step forward and becomes what you would want to call a number 2. I compare him to a Walker Buehler type, maybe not as proficient as Buehler, but he does bring the skill set to the table. I feel he's easily a 14-win guy on that staff. But time will tell. I really expect big things out of Chicago this year, and really hope that he takes that next step forward. My sleeper, and this guy has fallen down so many boards that I've seen, and I understand the hesitancy on picking this guy, but I'm going to go with the White Sox again, and it's Michael Kopech. Coming off Tommy John surgery, I mean, we all know what that does to a pitcher's arm, but guys have proven Strasburg can come back and really be fireballers, aces.
Back now.
Right. I mean, with the surgeries that they do now, Dr. Andrews, he's a magician with this, does very well. Kopech in spring training.
The doctor, Wallace.
Well, he's the doctor.
Dr. James Andrews. Everybody knows Dr. James Andrews. Everybody knows Dr. James Andrews.
Had to throw it out there. So in spring training before it got canceled, he was consistently 101, 102 on the gun. That was what he was before his surgery. So the arm speed is there. The strength is there. It's can he put it all together and have the confidence to keep moving forward? He hasn't really ever gotten a full shot to be in a rotation. I feel he gets that shot this year. I feel with expanded rosters, he's going to have a bigger role if they go that route. So I'm looking for big things from him. I got him like.
I never in a million years thought that you would double up on the White Sox. Never in a million years did I think you'd go there. But you know what I will give you on the premise of Kopech, and you've seen me pick him in one of your pools, is the fact that the guy is an absolute freak in the gym and has been his entire career. Has been the entire time right from the start. I don't think the physical aspects of his game are the question. I feel like it's between the ears, and that's what I'm going to say about him.
Well, and I was going to touch on that. You say between the ears. It's his attitude. I've read a lot of things. He's had spats with teammates. He's not a great guy in the clubhouse, but I feel coming off a surgery like that, that's a way that it humbles a person, especially if he's got the determination and the drive to be a guy that they can count on. You look at the White Sox's staff, if those two pan out, and this will lead into where I'm going, and you know where I'm going with the division picks. I won't spoil it, but you can have an idea where I'm leaning. So.
Well, yeah, but you're almost painting him as almost like a sort of Trevor Bauer 2.0, whereas I don't think it's fair to give him that strike just yet.
No, I'm not giving him that expectation. I'm expecting at least 8 wins out of him. But I mean, and a lower ERA and a much higher K value. You're going to get a lot of Ks with him. At 101, 102 on the gun, and he
Yeah.
mixes in his off-speed stuff, you're going to have trouble with that. I mean,
Sorry, I should have been clearer. I meant with his attitude and the way that people
yeah.
feel about him in the clubhouse. And from what we've seen is that's been mixed reviews too, because Trevor Bauer, he gets a real bad rap in public, but there have been teammates that have come out and said, hey, yeah, he's a little quirky, but he's not that bad.
Yeah.
So
He's a guy you want having on your team, I think, in certain situations. But he also, I mean, lay off the social media, Trevor Bauer. I know you're not going to hear this from me, but lay
absolutely.
off the social media. Nobody cares what you really think. Moving to Nolan, my
Wow.
bust, and I know guys are just going to carve me up for this. Nolan Arenado for the Colorado Rockies. And the reason I'm saying that, it won't be so much as a bust as a heavy letdown. You look at his track record and his home and away splits. His home numbers are great. We all know why. You play in that stadium, you play in that field, you're going to put up great numbers. His road numbers, yes, his homers are there. He is 80 points lower on his average, and the RBIs are not there. I feel in a shortened season, and if they don't play in Colorado, which there's a solid chance, they'll have to play in these hubs that they're talking about. I really feel he's not going to put up the 40 and 100 and 110 that he's used to. We know what he's capable of, but I just don't see him being able to do that if there's a different structure to this season. So
Okay. So what you're saying is the stipulations are going to dictate what he does.
100%.
Because the home and away splits to me don't make near as much of an impact because he's done the same thing since he's been in the league. He's always been there. But I understand where you're coming from. I get it.
The contract thing for me is a big point as well. I mean, he's not going to be a Colorado Rocky after this year. I will almost put money on it. He will not be in Colorado. Unfortunately,
Lots of people have said that.
Well, I think he's going to go to the Yankees. I know that's stupid, but I don't see the Yankees passing up on him with the small field, his power numbers, his extra base hits.
This is his contract year?
Yeah. Not his contract year, but Colorado has come out basically saying they're not willing to give him an extension, and they have openly been shopping him on the market.
No, Lane. He signed an 8-year extension last year. The Rockies gave him that. But if you're going to say that they're going to look to shop it, then I agree with you. Then I could go there. But they gave him an extension last year, and the reason that I think that Nolan Arenado might not do what people think he's going to do, like people are picking him in fantasy right now, expecting him, no matter what, for at least 38 homers, at least 118 RBIs-ish, at least most people are, in a regular season, and a batting average at least 296. So to me, if you're gonna go there and you're gonna that's a top 10 pick. That's the top 10 pick.
Ooh.
It is.
Boomer, did you know that he had an 8? Did you look that up?
What's that?
Know that is his 8-year contract extension.
I knew that he signed an extension last year.
But this is why I have him here, Dustin, to call me on my stupidity. I did not know that he signed that extension.
No, yeah, he's
8 years, 260.
260, yeah, 260 million.
But then why sign a guy to that much money when you're openly shopping him? They've said they're looking to move him, and you know that's true, Boomer. This is not
absolutely. But you know what? I'm not a major league GM. 8 years at 2. Oh, jeez, that's a lot of change in a year. But in reality,
$33 million a season. That's
well.
Hey, Boomer, what is that? Who's the boss? Because that was your.
That was my bust.
That's Wallace's bust.
I got mine out of the way. Now it's time for Marcus to shed the light on his 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you guys can say whatever you want out of my picks. Which one do you want me to start with? Pick which one. Because I
want the bust first.
You want my bust? As sick as this is, and as hard as it is for me to believe, because I actually traded for him last year. I did a straight-up deal, Aaron Judge for Max Scherzer. And the reason was I needed that kind of a pitcher. I needed another one in my staff in order to make a run at it. I am worried about Max Scherzer. I have no problems with his intensity, his his regiment. He's proved it year after year after year after year. But at the same time, he's being drafted. I'm
Top 10.
worried about him.
He's top 10.
I'm worried about him.
He's top 10. He's drafted in the top 10 on average. His
And
durability is a big question for me. His durability at his age, I just don't see him being able to continue. He's a Verlander but Verlander's proved me wrong for 2 years, so I don't really know what to think about that.
Verlander had like a weird slump and then like a weird like.
Well,
Verlander's weird.
If you played for the Detroit Tigers, you'd have a slump too. So I mean,
you know what? He wasn't. You know, though, he wasn't even who he is as a pitcher when he was with Detroit. He became who he needed to be with Washington. When Wilson had him, when he was in Detroit, and this is years ago in the Loon Pool, I was like, man, that guy gets Ks. He was the prototypical Dustin Wilson style pick in fantasy baseball because he got 1 million Ks. His ERA was garbage, but you know what? It got him wins in the categories that he needed him. He was the perfect prototypical baseball player. And then Dustin realized, holy, man, like now this guy's good. He's in Washington. Holy. Then I think you traded him, but I don't remember exactly what happened there. But in my mind, you've got Matt.
You want to know that trade? You want to hear that? It was Scherzer, Greinke, and another pitcher, maybe a closer.
Was that when Greinke couldn't even speak?
For Evan Longoria.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. Anyway, no. Yeah, I remember it.
Well, it can't be any worse than Boomer getting Aaron Judge for me, but we won't talk about that. So,
but no. I'm not even going there. My whole point is Max Scherzer to me is not going. He's being way overdrafted right now. If Max Scherzer, my realistic predictions for him is 13 wins. I'm gonna say 226 Ks, and that isn't bad.
Over an 80-game season?
That isn't. Oh, sorry. Not over an 80-game season. In an 80-game season, I'm saying Max Scherzer somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 wins. I'm going to say 130 Ks. And you know what? This may have exploded on itself because he might have a better year because it's shorter. But the problem with him is he doesn't have the durability long range.
Okay, move on to your other picks there, whatever it is. That was your bust?
That was my bust. My stud is Shane Bieber. And the reason that my stud is Shane Bieber is because I've watched this guy since before he was in the league. I watched him with Cleveland last year and the year before. The guy reminds me so much of my idol, Greg Maddux. It's not even funny. He knows where to throw the ball. If a batter doesn't want the pitch thrown somewhere, there's a 90% chance he's going to hit that spot. And there, like, if you watch the guy throw a complete game, I think he had 4 last year. I think he threw 4 complete games. I could be wrong. He just understands the craft of pitching. And in reality, I don't remember what he had for Ks. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 260. But this is like a daisy.
I don't know if it was that high. It was high. It was a.
This is a daisy fresh guy. You know what I'm saying? And in a season when we saw a lot of power hitters hit a lot of home runs, Shane Bieber just was not. He was not a culprit. He was not a guy that was going to do that. And he limits his mistakes. And I just love what he's got going on. And I mean Lane can vouch for it. He may not admit it right now, but I told Lane before last year's drafts that Shane Bieber was going to do something. And he exploded in a big way.
I really felt a guy like Mike Clevenger would be comparable, but Bieber has distanced himself from Clevenger in my eyes. The thing is with Bieber, he doesn't get a lot of love. Small market team, Cleveland. He is still going fairly high in drafts from what I've seen. But, I mean, you know what you're getting from him. He's consistent, right? So.
You know what? And that's not even to take anything away from Mike Clevenger, because we don't know what he's capable of either. He was injured. Yeah. He was injured earlier, and there was worries about him coming into this year. That's obviously, we don't need to worry about that anymore. But I think Cleveland's going to have a solid staff again, regardless. I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I don't think they're going to be a bad pitching staff. So yeah, that's where I'm sitting at. That's my stud, and I don't ever pick pitchers as studs. I never have, but that's where it is. My prospect or sleeper, whatever you want to call it, is Joe Adell. I have no idea how much time he's going to get in the majors this year, but I have a sneaking suspicion that he's going to end up there. And the reason, like one of my biggest reasons being was because we went to spring training this year in Phoenix. We went to an Angels game. We got out there early, obviously, took the kids, grandparents, everything, went to the game. And the one thing that stood out to me about Jo Adell was listening to the ball off his bat, which is filthy. It sounds like a fire. It's unbelievable. It sounds crazy when he hits the ball. And the second thing was he was standing beside Mike Trout, and Mike Trout didn't look huge.
Yeah, big boy.
Now, if you look at Mike Trout, he looks like a fucking middle linebacker compared to everybody else on his team. But Jo Adell stood right beside him, and it was like, holy man, this guy's like 21, 22 years old, and he's the same size as the best player in the major leagues right now. To me, if he's got that kind of pedigree and everybody understands where he come from, I got a feeling that we're going to see Jo Adell in Anaheim or in Los Angeles, playing beside Mike Trout sooner than later. That's just how I feel. I could be wrong.
See, the thing about this shortened season and with expanded rosters, we're going to see a lot more of these young players, and I'm excited. I want to see Kalenic, Rodriguez. I'm not going to see Rodriguez yet, but I'm going to see Kalenic. There's no doubt in my mind in Seattle.
Absolutely.
You're not hurting these guys' rookie contracts. It's not going to count towards their time. They're basically getting a free chance to come play in the majors. So I will have to confirm that. I'm not sure how that's going to work out with the CBA, if it does or it doesn't, but I believe that's all pending on the schedule format and how many games they play. But me personally, I can't see them costing a year of their service time playing a shortened season. But they're going to get a chance to play. So
and I have three more honorable mentions, and Wilson's going to chirp me for even continuing to go on about this. But I'm sorry, but I love the sport of baseball. I love fantasy baseball, and everybody knows who Mackenzie Gore is. Everybody knows who he is. He's he's just a giant lefty that can throw the ball. He's got three upper tier pitches. When guys come into the league, that's about, you want them to have that, but they don't always have that. He's got it. Casey Mize is another guy. I feel like he's going to get a chance to pitch right away because Detroit is they're not good. And this is going to be extremely unlike Marcus Freese of me, but I'm going to say Nate Pearson because the guy I can't look past the fact that he's 6'6", 245 pounds, and he throws the ball 101. I can't. When's the last time Toronto had anybody like that? Honestly, that is something that guys like Dylan LaFrance, Joel Lingelbach, all these hardcores from town that love the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be doing backflips over, because they haven't had a pitcher like that. They haven't had a dominant pitcher since Doc Holliday. They haven't.
That's true.
So to me, that's something to really get excited about. And I would take him in any draft that I could get him, but I haven't had the chance yet. So
he was going really late. I'm surprised guys were leaving him on the board in my drafts. I got him in a couple.
You took him in both of mine. You took him in both of the ones that I'm in your leagues.
Yep.
The round before I would have taken him. Yep. So
I
congratulations.
knew I had to get him.
You got me on two.
In the leagues where you've got NA spots or minor eligible spots, if you can get those guys early on and you can stash them, it's a dynasty format, you need to get on the Nate Pearson board. Not a doubt in my mind, the guy is a stud. Toronto's got really good things coming. We're going to not even get into that because that's completely off topic. Dustin, hit it up with your Bucks.
Can I ask one question? One question, because I don't know the answer. How old is Nate Pearson?
I honestly don't know.
He's older, right? Like he's 24?
Get Dustin going on this, and I'm going to get the info.
Okay, go ahead, Dustin. Sorry, man.
Well, I mean, I can't. Boomer just actually tried basing his pick off of physically being at the game and hearing the sound of the ball off the bat and the broadness of the guy's shoulders. That's how he made his pick.
Absolutely.
I'm not even close to being at that level with my pick. Like, not even close. I spent the afternoon prepping for and then I simply got biased and said, I don't care what. I went and looked at my team and I'm like, what do I got to do here? So as Boomer said, I'm a big guy on owning certain categories. So, and ones that you can kind of just bulk up on, like Ks and homers, stolen bases, stuff like that, that you can just load up on, guarantee a few categories, and then hope for the best on some of the other ones. So the guy that, when I was looking at some stuff and doing some research, the guy that I would have had on my radar from a sleeper perspective was Mitch Keller from
Pittsburgh.
For the simple K ratio there. I actually didn't even bother doing the stud one. I didn't even know. Like, I mean, no, those are the same anyway.
Yeah.
It's you can't be wrong there unless you're picking, like, you're trying to throw a sleeper or a mid-range guy in as an actual stud. So, and then I kind of got biased, and then I just started looking at the Dodgers lineup and getting horny over that. And I mean, no, I don't even know if Will Smith would be a sleeper type pick, but I mean, I think he's going to be 7th or something like that. And Boomer, what were you saying about Betts earlier?
Well, yeah, and I mean, this was off camera. This is off topic.
But were you saying that you didn't think he was going to have a strong year?
I'm nervous about Mookie Betts for some reason, and just purely based on fantasy, because of the fact that he's still being drafted in the top 5 of Yahoo leagues. I don't think he's gonna be there, if for no other reason than the fact that he's not gonna have the people on base that he had in Boston. I just don't think he's going to put up the kind of numbers now that he's in LA that he put up in Boston. And maybe that's just me. Sorry, go ahead.
23 for Pearson, by the way.
Yeah, he's 23.
So he's a little bit older. Sorry, but continue.
I firmly believe Betts is a great player, but in that lineup, I don't think he's going to be as proficient as he was in Boston. But that's just me.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Was things might get a little diluted there.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they've got such a powerhouse roster. I mean, I'm a huge Walker Buehler guy. Boomer, you know this. I love Walker Buehler. I feel he is the next big thing. Whether he gets to Kershaw elevation, we'll see.
Yeah, but Lane, it's warranted. You've seen his success in the playoffs. Yeah. You don't need you're not sneaking up with Walker Buehler, is what I'm telling you.
No,
I just my other thing, and this is what I saw on Twitter that actually made me laugh. And this might be a part of the reason why I based that whole Mookie Betts analogy. I saw a picture where it said, and it was so bad. It was actually like a professional-looking meme that said the 2 biggest stars in LA. One of them was Mookie Betts. The other one was Shohei Ohtani. Now, I had to comment on this tweet, and I had to say, they're not even the best player on their individual teams.
Yeah.
Because you have Mike Trout and you have Cody Bellinger. What the fuck are we even talking about here?
That's
Who put that tweet together? I'll go back and I'll look at it because it's not even funny. Like, it's not even close, man.
But I will say this, in leagues where you have multi-position, Ohtani is a sneaky good pick coming into this year.
We're talking about a sneaky good pick or a no-brainer first overall or second overall, third overall. Like, we're talking about a top 3 guy.
Okay, well, we'll move into that now because I basically said put together your top 10 list. I'm going to give you mine in no specific order, and I punted guys out that were in the top 10 projected by MLB.com, Yahoo.com. Yelich, Acuna, Trout, Bellinger, Arenado, DeGrom, Cole, Freeman, Soto, and I did put Buehler in the 10 spot. I was a little bit biased on my side, but a guy like Betts, Lindor, and Bregman, they had them in the top 10. I don't feel Houston is going to be the same team. They are going to, yes, with the whole cheating thing, and it's had time to relax, especially with the COVID-19 stuff. If we went right into a season, that team was going to get roasted all year long. Bregman's a great player. I don't feel he's top 10. Lindor, great player. I don't feel he's top 10. DeGrom is a guy that you can actually bank on, like Dustin said, in categories. He's going to get you wins, ERA, and Ks.
No, he's not getting you wins. He's on an awful team, Wallace.
Well,
he's on an awful team.
That's the thing. The Mets, I don't feel the Mets. Granted, Atlanta's winning that division. The Mets are still going to win 80 games. They're going to win 80 games, and I feel it might even be closer to 90. the Mets are not gonna be a bad team. I'm not saying they're gonna win anything, but I'm saying the expectations. I think the Atlanta is the far and away best team in the NL East. Philly and the Mets are very comparable. Philly and the Mets, I feel, will get a wild card spot, whichever one gets hot at the end.
The only difference that I feel between those two teams are the fact that Washington has a number 2 pitcher that is better than the Mets number 2. But anyway, continue. Sorry.
No, and
I think Patrick Corbin is a great pitcher, and I give him more credit than most people do. So,
but is he a top 30 guy? He's not a top 30 fantasy player. I wouldn't take him in my top 30.
You know what? He'd be right there. I'd be kicking the ball around right there. He doesn't suck. He doesn't suck, and he's a lefty.
I'm just saying, can you take him in a top 30? When you're in 14-team leagues, that means
it all depends on categories. It all depends on categories.
Right, but I mean, I'm saying in a 14-team league, when you're getting 2 picks, are you really going to take Patrick Corbin to be one of your centerpieces on your roster?
No.
That's why I'm saying in top 30.
Unless you've got the last pick.
Possibly. You might take him at coming
the
back.
Last pick, 28. You might take him 28.
Not at pick 28 because it would go, oh yeah, I'd be 29-30. Yes.
Sure.
You might take him at that range. But I'd even say there's a few other options because Buehler on some of these was going around 23. And
you know what though, Hollis? Buehler has been supremely disrespected in fantasy leagues because there are people hate to admit it, but there is a extremely large number of players in leagues that still auto draft. If you're gonna let that happen, Buehler is going way lower than he should be.
And I feel he's getting the comparison to Clayton Kershaw. It's not fair to him. Anyways, Dustin, we'll go to you. Your top 10 fantasy.
I didn't fucking do top 10.
You know,
Boomer, on deck.
No, for real. I'm going to jump in here.
Be able to argue like it's Boomer. Go ahead with your top 10.
I'm going to jump in here, and I am going to throw something out that isn't even realistic for somebody sitting here. I don't disagree with anybody in your top 10. I would shuffle them around a little bit. I have a bad feeling that Garrett Cole might drop just a touch. I don't know if he's going to have the success that he had at Yankee Stadium that he had at the in Houston. What did you say your top 3 was again? Because mine as I list them is going Yelich, Trout, Acuna. Yahoo right now.
Acuna, Trout, but Trout and Acuna are 2A, 2B. Yelich is by far no. I don't think everyone's saying it's Trout, and Yelich does everything well. Everything.
Yeah, but no, man. Like I looked at Yahoo today, and it said Acuna is number 1, and I was kind of like, well, I need to remind you guys that I do have all 3 on my team in the Loons pool, so I don't really know where I'm going to go with this. But in reality, if I was to take one, I think that Yelich is the no-brainer sure bet. If I was to start over in any league, I would take Yelich first, for sure. He's a guy that I've actually watched and followed. Like I had him on my team before he was even in the league with Miami. I always thought to myself when I watched this guy play, I was like, this guy's going to win a batting title someday. Trout to me is the best player in Major League Baseball. Acuna, we don't know what he's capable of yet. He just seems like he's a kid out there having a lot of fun and good for him.
You're getting 40 out of him. I'm telling you right now, you're getting 40. Maybe not this year.
I really hope so.
Shortened season, he's not getting it. But in a full season, he's going to get that.
I really hope so because I'm wearing his jersey right now, and I do love the guy. My number 4 would be Cody Bellinger. And the reason that it would be Cody Bellinger is because the guy's plate discipline. If I could pick a perfect World Series face-off, it would be Shane Bieber versus Cody Bellinger. I would love to see that bottom of the 9th, Game 7, those two versus each other. How Shane got there as the starter would be even more baffling, but I would love to see that because we're talking about the guy who picks his spots better than anybody in the majors versus the guy who makes pitchers pay, who make mistakes more than anybody in the majors. I'm a huge Cody Bellinger fan. I'm a little bit of a bigger I don't want to say that I'm going to slap DeGrom above Arenado, but am I going by my memory right here? You had Arenado after that, or did you have DeGrom next?
I had Arenado at 5.
Yeah.
DeGrom
Yeah,
at 6,
so
Cole at 7, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to throw DeGrom above Arenado just because of obviously what you stated earlier. But at the same time, I'm going to reverb.
Wallace,
He's
I
been
thought
doing
you
the
had
same thing.
Arenado in a bust, as a bust.
In a
Wallace
bust
did.
in a shortened season.
Yeah, I know.
For a bust for a shortened season. Because if they don't play at Coors Field, I don't think he gets the numbers he gets.
So we're doing
Wilson's
a top
staring
10
at me.
list for a non-shortened season?
This top 10 was basically looking at MLB.com and Yahoo.com, seeing what the top 10s were on a consensus basis, and then me kind of disagreeing. I can't take Arenado out of the top 10. He's that good. I mean,
But he was in 5, Wallace.
What's that?
He was at 5.
Yeah,
So
well, I get that. I'm just saying you can't disrespect him and take him out of the top 10. I disrespected him in a shortened season, saying I don't think not playing at Coors Field he's going to get what he gets. But that's my hunch. The
And you
guy
need-
is a great player. He's a
Right.
40, 110 guy, right? I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass and tell you that Nolan Arenado is going to have a shit season. He's probably going to prove me wrong like I've been proven wrong in every baseball league I played in. So I just wanted to look at it from a perspective that I don't think this is going to be a normal season. This isn't going to be normal, right? So
no, and I'm not arguing with you. I really do feel like DeGrom is going to bring more fantasy value this year in a shortened season. And you know what? It's hard for me to not say that pitchers in altogether are going to bring more value into a shortened season because that ERA is not subsequent to the number of games that they play. Right, so if you can dominate in a shorter season, you can make it count. Like I said earlier with Josh Hader, that guy, I have no idea what's going on in his head. He reminds me of Greinke 10 years ago. One game he's unbelievable. The next game he can't even speak. He can't even see. He won't even come out of the dugout. So to me,
Greinke
like if you got a player like that, no, like for real, if you got a player like that could make the fantasy impact, that's excellent. And that's going to be something else. But there are guys who show flashes in the pan in the first half year, right? And then they completely fall off a cliff. Yeah. Is that mental? I guess we'll see what happens, right? Well, I agree with you though. I don't think that Arenado is going I would put DeGrom ahead of Arenado, and I would actually put Cole up there. Not because Cole is going to have a huge season, but just because I think Arenado is going to I think he's going to slide a little bit. Now I don't remember who you had at 8 or 9, but
I'm gonna actually bypass the rest of that because we could debate this all night.
Absolutely.
I'm making my picks strictly going by division winners, wild card, and then who I've got in the World Series. I've got the Yanks out of the East. I've got the White Sox out of the Central, Oakland out of the West. I got the Angels and Twins getting the wild card spots, and in the NL, I've got the Braves, Reds, Dodgers, Cards and Cubs in the wild card, and then in my World Series, I've got the Braves and the Dodgers. I didn't really go out on a limb there, but I also feel that those are the two.
Well, you kind of went out on a limb, didn't you?
Yeah, because I can't put those two teams in the World Series.
That's right.
Sorry, Yankees and Braves. That's who I have.
Pause it, Wallace.
Okay, so now that I had to eat crow and Wilson had his laughing fit out of the way after that, we've established that the Braves and the Dodgers cannot meet in the World Series. I meant the Yankees and the Braves, obviously. So, gonna just have to eat some crow on that one. Marcus, who's your World Series prediction?
Well, far be it from me to stray away from the norm, but I do have to. Oh God, this hurts, but I have to agree with you. I will take Atlanta in the National League, and I will take the Yankees in the American League. I could go on and on about my reasons for that about Atlanta, but my reasons for the Yankees is because I don't think there's anybody that's going to touch them in that division now that Boston's lost Mookie and the Yankees have Cole. It's really hard to compete with that pitching staff now. So.
Yep. And I mean, if you got a healthy Paxton, that only adds to that rotation. He will be healthy.
Oh, Big Maple? Starts. Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
absolutely. And I love that nickname. How do you go wrong there?
My boy. So, Dustin, who do you got?
I'm just jumping on the bandwagon here with the Yankees, except that, of course, I'm substituting in the Dodgers.
Yeah. I mean, and we're not really blowing
So we're
anyone's
all on
mind
the
here.
same page at the
Yeah.
NLCS, Wallace.
Yeah, this
And if you want to call
Well-
that your World Series, all the power to you, man.
yeah, I'm
You
gonna
know
own
what?
that. I'm gonna own that, and I'm gonna definitely take some roasting on that. But hey, we've established that it can't happen. So we
That
know.
is sad that we all
And
can't
just
be coming out of the
just-
AL. Oh.
just so everybody's clear, the World Series will be awarded about a week and a half previous to the actual World Series in Wallace's mind. Because it'll be the Braves versus the Dodgers in the NLCS, and then it really doesn't matter there from his point of view.
It's got to be a
But yeah.
freaking mute button here somewhere for you, Bean. So now we're gonna move into our next topic because we could go on and on for hours about that. We really wanted to touch base. I looked at this the other day, and there's just such a disparity with NFL starting quarterbacks and what they make compared to an NFL running back. We know why. Shelf life, health, the bang, the bod, like they take so much abuse. But a guy like Saquon, and I'm just gonna give you numbers I looked up here. When a guy like Jared Goff is making $28 million a season, I mean that is literally the worst contract in all of football. You're not gonna find me a worse one. Maybe Garoppolo, maybe Dak. Dak's at 31, and the guy still wants more money. So I'm not even getting into that. Philip Rivers.
He's not even the best quarterback on his team anymore.
Well, we had that discussion. Philip Rivers is making $25 million. Are you shitting me? Philip Rivers making $25 million. He may as well be wearing a mask and stealing.
Is he playing?
Wallace.
He's on Indianapolis.
Wallace. He's got 42 kids. How's he going to feed them?
I'll give you that. Now you flip side it to the running backs, and this is what shocks me. Zeke, Bell, 13, 15, David Johnson. Yes, he is still in the league. 13 million. Houston, we're not even going to touch that trade, the Arizona-Houston trade, because, oh my God, I will lose my mind. Saquon, 7.7 mil. McCaffrey finally got paid, rightfully so. The guy's a beast, 16 million. Derrick Henry, 10. I realize the modern-day football is played airing the ball out. I get it. But these guys are huge. You look at what Bill Belichick does, and I'm using Belichick as an example.
Nobody's gonna fault you for that. I agree with you because I would have said the same thing. So go ahead.
No, but he has never paid a running back. You just won't. Bill will not. He didn't want to pay Brady, and I don't blame him for wanting to do that either. Tom is past his prime. Love the guy. GOAT. Will not debate it. But as far as today goes, I don't think Tom Brady warrants that money. You got a guy like Sony Michel making 2.4, James White making $4 million. Those guys were key. James White is the most underrated player possibly in the league. Gets no love. That
Fantasy
guy won them
player,
Super Bowls.
absolutely. I agree
That
with
guy
you.
literally won them Super Bowls. But it's a system. Bill plays a system. Do we feel that maybe there should be a smaller gap between the quarterbacks from Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson ain't getting paid for another 2 years. They are hands down the two best quarterbacks in the league, but yet we've got Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo making 28, 26. Why?
Well,
there's bad contracts.
I'll let Wilson go with this.
There's just Garoppolo, some of those bad ones is just they happen. I'm not gonna. You're talking just quarterback on average to running back on average salary, right? That's what the conversation is.
Yeah.
I agree with I don't think it should be. Although some guys you got your Saquons and then you got your Garoppolo where it doesn't make any sense, right? How those guys. But as far as shutting down a running back needs so much more around him.
Oh, for sure.
So
100%.
much more.
Yeah.
They need a quarterback, or else they just defenses can just swarm the run game. They need an offensive line. Le'Veon Bell's a perfect example. Look at what James Conner is able to fill in. That's
Absolutely.
why supporting cast and that cash should go to that anyway. A quarterback, I believe, legitimately can make a difference with their level of play and is much tougher to stop. They're the leaders. There's a lot of other things, but I think the ratio should be that. There's the injury thing too.
But I mean, you can't fault a running back, and I'm taking it back to when Zeke held out. You can't fault a running back for wanting to get paid in the early part of his career, knowing that all it could take is one hit, one injury, and he's done. Todd
For
Gurley.
sure.
Todd
But-
Gurley. I mean, granted, he's still going to make good money, not great money, not Todd Gurley money, but he literally has a condition in his knee where he will never probably be the same. I know I said this to you guys in the group chat. I feel that he is going to be better than what people think for Atlanta. He's going to help them out a lot.
I would agree because he's got a good supporting cast, way better. Like he's got, I believe Matt Ryan, and then you got Julio. I actually don't know as much about the offensive line. I think they're pretty good in Atlanta.
They do have a good offense, but they drafted well. I mean, 2 years
He's
ago.
going to be good.
Yeah.
But I mean, so where do you stand, Wallace? They should make more. That gap should be closer.
I feel they should be making more. I like a guy like Saquon to make 7.7 is absolutely a joke. I mean, Saquon Barkley needs to be making more than that. I understand their rookie contracts. I get that.
Okay, I gotta pipe in here, and the reason being is because like I watched my own team go through it, and you guys can refute it or you can admit it, but you gotta realize Pittsburgh lost Le'Veon Bell. Everybody knew Pittsburgh was losing Le'Veon Bell. He was gone. Pittsburgh then lost Ben Roethlisberger. Now, if you can sit there and you can make a viable argument that is going to tell me that Pittsburgh would have been as good the year before with I worded that wrong, but this year with Mason Rudolph and James Conner as they would have been with Ben Roethlisberger and James Conner, I'll be impressed because there's not a chance in hell that you're going to make that argument. Like
But
we're
James
talking,
Conner's got a big question mark beside him with his health, and for that reason alone, I traded away from him in our pool, Wilson. I got rid of him.
Wait, Wallace. He was playing. He was playing without Ben Roethlisberger.
Well,
but what happened? He fell off a cliff. James Conner is an extremely talented running back, but if there is no threat of the pass, what is James Conner doing?
100%. Yeah, no, I can agree
Right?
with that.
Or
Right?
the simple
So we're
fact
talking. If you're talking about a quarterback versus a running back skill, we're talking about a player that touches the ball every single time. We're talking about a running back that's touching the ball roughly in today's NFL around 40%. I don't know the exact stats, so you might correct me, but depending on team, I'm saying it's around 40%.
Yep.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if you don't have that guy under center that is confident and the other team is scared can make that pass, your running back will not be as effective, and that is definitive. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to tell me different. That's what it is.
That's accurate. That's why I don't think the gap. I think the gap will continue to be that. And
Absolutely.
It segues into the other conversation about the quarterback, of how the quarterback's virtually the running back in some of these cases. That's probably another that gap.
Yes. Lamar Jackson would not be what he is today without running the ball.
Nope.
Patrick Mahomes would not be what he is today without running the ball. Deshaun Watson, we could go on and on and on. I agree with you, 100%. But what I'm saying is, you take that quarterback out of the perspective. I don't care how good your running back is. He is not having the stats that he would have had with a prolific pocket passer in the top 6 or 7 in the league.
That's fair. So I really want to touch on this subject because I'm going to throw this at you guys. We hadn't previously discussed this. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know where I'm going with this because everyone's picking that. Like I saw the odds for them to win the Super Bowl. I just blows my fucking mind. I understand why Tampa is optimistic. They took Tom, they took Gronk, which is fine. I said this and Marcus, you know damn well I did. I said they need to move on from Brady 2 years ago. I said they need to have a plan, a backup plan. But to say that Tampa is going to win, I created the case for me is Gronk is one hit away. He's a walking bionic miracle. One hit will end that guy's career. He cannot take another back injury. He cannot take another knee injury. There's nothing left. Tom Brady, does he have the arm strength to actually utilize Mike Evans? I don't think he does. He proved that last year, even on deep balls. He just didn't have it. Chris Godwin is going to be a huge fantasy player as far as that because he's going to replace what Brady had in Edelman in New England. That being said, if you piss off Mike Evans, you're already asking for problems. The offensive line is better than New England's, but
Yes,
I still don't
they
think
are. Yes, they are.
you cannot crown them as a division winner over the Saints. I'm not buying it. And I can't even if they're making the playoffs, it's the 6 seed or the 7 seed with the extended playoffs. Like I said, you look at who made the playoffs last year, a team that I think would really shock some people, Philadelphia with a healthy Carson Wentz, and with what they've got in the backfield with Miles Sanders and Boston Scott, they looked really good late in the season. Chicago, if Foles plays, Chicago is instantly a better team. Don't even, Wilson, I see that look on your face. Nick Foles is Nick Foles. If Foles is healthy and he's got a chance to throw the ball, Chicago's a better team. Better than Trubisky. Trubisky couldn't hit the blind side of a barn, man. The guy's horrible.
I still don't think Chicago. What were they last year? 3 and
Not good. But I'm going to blame
He's
that
a
on
Packers fan.
Well, I understand that. Okay.
Okay, so, all right, I'll dive in right now. I'll dive in. The reason that I think that Tampa Bay is going to be better than you think they are. I feel like Tampa Bay is a no-brainer wild card team, just based off the fact that Tom Brady's there. You want to take Gronkowski out of the image? Go ahead. Go ahead, take him out of there. You're not going to replace the fact that Tom Brady's still going to put the ball where he needs to put it down the field. And I feel like I haven't talked about this enough, but there is the enormous X factor of the fact that Bruce Arians is still their head coach. That guy is not an idiot. That guy is one, like, albeit he may be an alcoholic, given the videos that I've seen of him, drinking and commenting on some of the games. From what I've seen of him, he's extremely creative and he knows what to do and how to get the best out of the players that he has on the offense. He did it with Pittsburgh for years. He knows what he's doing on a day-to-day basis.
But,
now, wait a minute. You put a player like Tom Brady there, somebody who's seen everything. We're not talking about, I don't even know, pick a guy. It doesn't matter. Matt Castle. We're not talking about somebody that you're going to slide under center that hasn't seen everything. Tom Brady has seen everything. He's going to know who's blitzing when, what the defense looks like when, and you know what, Mike Evans, if he gets mad, I feel like Tom Brady and Bruce Arians are going to be able to handle that. Chris Godwin is a good enough player. He is. He's underrated. Like, I still feel he's underrated.
That guy
I think
up
he's
in
a
that
great
top
receiver.
corner beaked me last year when I took him in our fantasy pool with my first pick.
I did?
Who? Chris who? He said.
I did?
No.
Yeah,
Wilson.
he took
Well,
him
Wilson would have, but I mean, yeah.
and
but-
he was good, but I don't think you should have taken him.
Oh,
You
man, he
interrupted.
was a
You guys
huge reason why I
interrupted
finished
a
right.
very
I didn't
valuable.
Didn't win, but I'm saying.
You guys interrupted a very valuable tirade that I was going on there. But at the same time, I realize it. But my whole thing is we were talking about this earlier, and it doesn't matter. Lane feels that their defense will not amount to what they're. We have seen some teams that can make stuff happen when a defense just decides to say, you know what,
Guys,
strap in. Let's support these guys. And you know what? We got Tom Brady as our quarterback. I don't think we're going to suck this year. I feel like Tampa Bay
last year, 7-9. Like they were.
Tampa
a
Bay
decent team.
will be a playoff team. If I am wrong, I will eat crow, but that is my belief.
No, I think the Brady Gronk is overhyped, but I actually think the base was laid there. The move made complete sense. I like the trade, or I like the fact that they made that move to get rid of Winston, who honestly didn't play. He just made some really bad decisions throughout games that cost them. That 7-9 record could have been
10-6.
10-6 for sure.
Hey Wilson.
And-
Wilson, when in my going on and on did I mention the Brady Gronk connection? Not once. I don't think that that's even going to be a factor. If it is there, it's a bonus. I feel like they're going to be a better team because they've got Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, and those two receivers that can make hay. That's how I feel. I might be wrong.
It'll be a
Did you guys
factor, no
did you
movement.
guys miss the last 6 games Tom Brady played last year?
No, listen, Wallace.
Well, I know you
agree.
didn't, Wallace.
The guy was hot garbage. Could not make a throw. His arm. This is a 40-year-old quarterback. I love the guy. I'm not trashing him. He's 40. He's not the same guy he was. I've told you this. When they won the Super Bowl against the Rams, it wasn't because of Tom Brady. That defense won them that Super Bowl. Tom Brady did
And
nothing.
it's happened in a few years before that.
I understand
It's
that.
just, I think it's the piece that they needed to get over the hump of even 500, and that's why I think they can probably pull off some sort of. I don't think they're going to win the NFC by any means.
No.
I don't think they're even going to win the division, but I do think they'll make the playoffs. I do think they'll. Green Bay plays them in Tampa Bay, and I'm not just writing off the Bucks like I typically do. And Boomer, the Gronk and Brady thing is a factor because defenses are going to look at it. It might not win them a game, but it's gonna buy them enough time to do enough damage.
Okay, wait a minute. So is O.J. Howard still a Tampa Bay Buccaneer?
As far as I know,
So Dustin, we're looking at a situation now where we've got something that looks a lot like the Gronkowski/Aaron Hernandez Patriots, but with two of the best receivers in the division.
they're going to be
So-
good. But you're talking about
Yeah, but no. I said
old or when was that? Or when was that? 6 years ago. Brady was 6 years younger. Brady did look like shit at the end of last year. The guy
Dustin.
he got out of the pocket. It was almost priceless.
Dustin, I said they would make the playoffs.
Well,
I'm
maybe
not
we're on the
going
same
back
page,
on that.
man. We're actually kind of arguing with Wallace here, who should be the Brady fan. Everything's just.
Like I said, I respect him. He's the GOAT. You will not tell me he's not the GOAT.
Well,
I've been a fan of the Patriots since 1993. I've never been a bandwagon jumper. I've seen it all. I've had great years. His time has come. He should have retired. He's not going to win another Super Bowl. He is going to go out now knowing, being said as he couldn't win without Bill. If he wins a Super Bowl, I'm wrong. He will
I
not
don't
win a
think
Super Bowl.
either of them are going to do it. So
I'm going to tell you this. For everyone that wrote off New England, they still win that AFC East. They still make the playoffs, and they will not be as bad as people think. I'm saying 10-6 with a possibility. I looked at their schedule, 11-5.
they'll be good. Look at their defense.
and
Stidham.
they don't play Pittsburgh this year.
No, that we'll set that aside. But Stidham is not a bad quarterback. Yeah, Stidham is not a bad quarterback. They will be good. I'm telling you right now, I watched Matt Castle take that team 11-5. I saw Jacoby Brissett win with them. I saw Jimmy Garoppolo win with them. Tom Brady is Tom Brady.
Wallace, stop now because you're never in a million years going to convince us that you think Tom Brady was a system quarterback.
Didn't say he
Never.
was a system quarterback, but
Never.
Bill was a big part, and Josh McDaniels of what he does.
Absolutely.
Okay, we got to move on. So we're going to move on to our next one. For those that have been watching, this has been awesome for me to watch because I grew up in this era. I watched it happen. The Last Dance on Netflix, ESPN, whatever you want to call it, whatever platform you're watching it on. Been amazing so far. I have no complaints. It's been one great episode after another. It really gives a generation that didn't see Michael Jordan a chance to see what that team and those teams were all about and how good that they actually were. So the question I want to ask about that is, can the team of the Bulls, when they had their three-peat and their second three-peat, versus the Golden State Warriors dynasty team, who wins and why? Wilson, start with you.
Why it's the Bulls. I don't even think I hate even including the Durant years because I think that is such a garbage move that Durant actually went there when they were in that run. 5 years
You're gonna fault Durant for going there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was a huge Oklahoma fan. Huge. Durant was my boy. I turned my back on him. He jumped ship. He was a game away from going to the NBA Finals against the team he jumped ship to go and play. If you do that, Boomer, you lose all credibility in my book. You took the bullshit pussy way out. I'm sorry. That's
Wallace. Hey, Wallace. Is he wearing a ring?
Absolutely, but it's a tarnished ring. Tarnished. That thing he didn't win it. Steph Curry won it. Durant played good.
He won it. That's why I'm saying that's fine. They won the championship with him. But it tarnishes that dynasty in my mind.
Absolutely.
Like it tips it doesn't even make it much of an argument in this case.
As an athlete, to be the best, you want to win when you don't think. He basically told them, nah, I'm going where I know I can win because it's what's best for me and my brand. And as a fan, it disgusted me. I was huge Durant. I loved him. Oklahoma, Harden, Durant, Westbrook. That is such a travesty that team did not get to play any longer together.
Okay, but he won.
Yeah, but okay, to go back to the question,
yeah,
who would win? Well, I mean, are you playing against the Durant Warriors or the Green Draymond, Thompson, and Steph?
You know what? Hey, can I make a point right now that I would be so happy if Draymond Green never ever had success in anything ever again, because that guy, man, like if you were gonna pick a sport that I was not that deep into, it would be basketball, and Draymond Green is an absolute piece of garbage.
He's the same way. Like he's like a Kachuk, and like the guys do. He's a role player. Like
look at Wallace. Look at Wallace smile because you said Kachuk. I disagree 100%. He is not like a Kachuk. Did you see the way that he acted when they were playing their apps? It was fucking despicable. He's a pile of garbage. He sucks. Oh man, I don't even like Draymond Green is my most hated NBA player in the history of the game. Period.
Anyway, getting back to the whole thing. I consider the Warriors dynasty tarnished because in the middle of it, they basically they brought the best available NBA player in the league over to their team.
Absolutely.
B, they still didn't win 3 in a row. So the thing here is that Jordan actually had the 2 seasons that they didn't win. Jordan was basically MIA.
Yep.
Won 6 in a row. So, is it even an argument?
No. And the reason that it isn't an argument is because, like, you guys both know my cousin Josh Freeze, and I don't know anybody who follows basketball harder than anybody than that guy does. And geez, like, I don't even think it's close, Wallace. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't. I'm
not advocating for the Warriors. The Bulls, in my mind, with that defense, Rodman, Pippen, Jordan.
Exactly.
John Paxson gets no credit, and that guy is as clutch as it comes. Because he's not Steph and pulls up from all over the court, he could hit a clutch 3 with the best of them. We're talking Steve Kerr here. We're talking Paxson. These guys were a team. They were the ultimate.
You know what I don't like about it is the fact that, like, yeah, Rodman was there, but no, only really serious basketball fans give that guy the credit that he deserves. The ball was always in their hands with Rodman there. Rodman was the king, man. He was unbelievable.
Anybody that says Dennis Rodman isn't possibly the greatest rebounder in NBA history is simply a hater. There's no 2 ways about it.
He is the best rebounder. There's nobody better than him. There is nobody better than Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. We're going into a whole different tangent. So we want to cut it off here. We want to move on to our last subject, which was the return of golf to a local perspective for Estevan, Latman area. I live in Latman. Those guys are in Estevan. Golf is to be returning with obvious restrictions. They got lessened the other day, more tee times in an hour. driving range, practice facilities will be available to be used. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Too soon? Not too soon? Is it worth it? You guys know where I stand on this. I've voiced my opinion already.
No, I don't. Where is it?
Well,
Me personally, you know me, I love to golf. But
You're just not very good at it.
well,
no.
No.
Don't even go there. What I'm gonna say. Hey,
Wallace, where do you sit?
I
Do you
honestly,
sit here?
for me personally, it's just not going to be as fun.
Why?
The sanctions, people of the same household, you have to, if you're only in the same household, you can share a cart. If not, you're on your own cart. The elevated cup out of the hole, the not being able to go and sit down.
Didn't they change that? First of all, I heard that got loosened up.
I
to,
hope so,
like,
because to me that just is like, okay, well, here, let me hit the ball as hard as I can at the white cup and hope it hits it somewhere, and then the hole's over. You can't go in the clubhouse and shoot the shit after the round. There will be no men's classic, regardless of what happens here. They're not going to loosen up that so they can have that event. No more tournaments. I've heard league play
what are
is
you saying,
possible.
Wallace?
Sorry.
I get you're stating a bunch of facts here, but what's your argument to? Is it too early?
Me personally, it just seems like it's not. The things
So shut her
that
down. Bring her all
just,
back, or don't bring it in. Don't bring anything back at all.
well,
Can
You
I?
know what the
you
answer is they're easing into this. This is the perfect first step. I think this is. Yes, the only argument is people actually are worried about the spread of the disease, but other than that, it's golf has to do what it's got to do, and this is perfect.
I guess
Okay.
my thing is I could go either way on it. I could go without it. I could go with it. I'll probably golf a few rounds.
No, we
But
don't
I'm
even
telling you right-
this bullshit. You can't be on the fence. You either gotta come over and play and commit.
Okay, I'll paint this scenario for you. Had they not loosened it to 12-minute tee times, okay, it was 20, but it's now 12. So we all know we've golfed at that golf course. We know there's the veterans.
It's 3 versus 5 tee times an hour, Wallace. Keep
Right.
going.
Now it gives more of a chance to guys to book tee times, but the retirees are definitely going to take up that morning stretch because you can't have 7-minute tee times, right?
I'm pumped. I don't even think you can really even argue the fact. Look at what the golf hadn't even started yet, and they already started making progressive decisions to make it better. Give it another week, it's going to get better and better and better. Like I said before, the flip side of absolutely nothing is who wants that?
That's
Other
true.
than the people that really do want to sit at home and isolate, which I'm not saying don't do it, but you can still do that while everyone else who feels comfortable with it goes out, watches the sports that they want to watch, plays the sports that they want to play, such as golf. I'm pumped.
And I feel Amanda's going to do a really good job with it. Amanda does great work down there. She's always been very good. I feel she'll make it a good experience. All the confidence in the world with that. Hopefully they lessen more restrictions as the season goes on, which I think they will.
Well, that's the part that anything that is our course is doing, they're doing in the confines of just following those rules. So they're in a tough position because I think they're going to have to face the front. They're going to be the front lines of that and take a lot of grief over it when really they're doing what they can.
And what it comes down to, to me, is the golf course needs a support right now, right? I mean, we can't go a full season without golf. There's just
you know what? Listen, guys. What people need to understand here is when tee times are actually spaced at 20 minutes. There was going to be a lot of people that were not going to buy memberships. That's a fact. Everybody in this circle knows it. Because basically what Wallace just suggested there was you have, let's even guess conservatively, I'm going to say 12 groups realistically of retirees that play every single morning down there. So now we're talking about 12. Now that's the first 4 hours of every day being played. So now you cannot get on the course until realistically 10:30, 11. And that's robbing a lot of early morning tee times to anybody that's normal. Wilson, or I don't even know if it was Wilson or Wallace, made the comment towards there's going to be no August Classic. Now, I've talked to Amanda myself. There's going to be no ladies' night. There's going to be no men's night. There's going to be no men's classic. There's going to be no, all these tournaments that were counted on before. And I feel like there has to be a shout out made here to Amanda, because from what I understand, for a week and a half, she has been on the phone with the Sask government saying, if you do not loosen up these restrictions a little bit and at least let us get players on our course, you're going to bankrupt us. Because flat out, there was going to be people that with the 20-minute tee times were not going to buy memberships. And the reason being is that you're not getting started till mid-May.
Right.
That's 3 to 4 weeks of playing time that you are not getting in. And if you're not playing tournaments, men's night encompasses a lot of people, boys.
Well, I'm telling you right now, my big furry ass ain't going out golfing at 1 to 3 in the afternoon in the middle of summertime. So that takes me right out of the equation until night golf. It just ain't happening. So
okay. So then look at that again. Now we're talking about a major influx of people from 4 p.m. until 6. Now there's only so many tee times there that can be had with that 20 minutes. Now it's 12. So
It's not
we're doing better. We're doing better. I like where we're at right now more than I did with 20 minutes.
Basically, what you're getting now is you're getting five groups an hour, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So it's livable, it's doable, and it's going to make it a lot better and easier for them to be able to function as a golf course. So hopefully everything stays on the up and up going forward. Hopefully, as we move forward, phases open up. I'm hoping that by July, this is just done, but I don't see it happening. But
you know what, boys? I hope, because of the raised cups, I can steamroll everything inside 8 feet and get into the positive for my handicap for the first time in my life. That's where I'm going with this. I feel like Nolan Rohatton is really dancing around this one.
Yeah.
What?
I said it's a good thing for me too. I'm a shitty putter.
Okay, guys, that'll do it for us for this week. We really appreciate you watching. If you did, we will be doing this again. We will be having a Twitter account. We will be having a way for you guys to respond, give us feedback. Anything is appreciated. Trolls, be prepared to be roasted, because I don't put up with that shit. So really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will let you know when our next episode's going up. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers, boys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.